I don't often make videos even acknowledging the existence of this kind of thing for a number of reasons. First is that it is extremely futile. I've been on the internet for a long ass time, and I often say things that are unpopular. I literally make effort to correct what I believe to be like very widespread, popular, but very false, or at least very misleading narratives about the games industry as someone who has worked in various facets of it for the last 10 years. Making people mad at being divisive comes with the territory. I get that. And so people have spread rumors about me or made hate videos about me a million times, I'm sure. I do not watch any of these videos, literally not even one time. I don't look for them. It largely, unless something like really blows up, won't even make it to me. Like I won't even know that it's happening. And these people will move goalposts. The people who like start this shit will just move goalposts. So addressing them doesn't really do anything. Like it just becomes more and more and more time consuming. In this video, I'm going to provide a number of receipts to address things people have accused me of doing, and I already know, upon making it, like I'll get a bunch of "don't feed the trolls" comments, I already know that they will never walk back what they've said. They will either trip over themselves to deny everything I say, or they will find a new thing to get mad about. So it's futile. Again, I'm fully aware of that. But it has started to affect people that I'm friends with. And that's where I feel like I have to sort of draw a line. As in, people that I personally know are receiving negative comments for being friends with me based on a bunch of shit that isn't true. Obviously, my friends know the actual truth, so I don't have to explain it to them. But I think it's a little different, like my whole, I don't give a shit, let them say whatever they want attitude kind of becomes a little selfish. The friends don't have a, hey, no, here's what actually happened. You should go watch this. This is all of the clarification of these things that you're being told. So yeah, it just, that's why I'm making this video today. But before I get to some of the bigger ones that I'm going to address here, and I'll leave time codes below for if you just want to jump to the topics. Can I just share some of my favorite dumbass internet rumors with you real quick? Because I think some of these are very funny. Corey Barlow gave her a token writing job to keep her work visa. That's not how visas work, and I never had one at Sony. They never had anything to do with my visa. She herself is a big lie using glass, even her eyes is good. I do have prescription glasses. It's not that bad though. I'm minus 0.50. She's an Xbox ambassador, which means she gets up to 54k a year to push positive Xbox news? 54k a year? What? I'm certainly not getting any money from Xbox to do anything. Is again just not true. Where do these people even get this shit from? The thing that always gets me is how many people believe them. This is just some fucking random on the internet and you're like, oh yeah, no, that checks out. Does it though? To sum up her story, she tried to become a YouTuber, failed. She tried to impress 4chan with one of her videos to show she was a gamer, got roasted because her boyfriend was having to tell her how to play and review the game. Went on a hiatus, re-emerged as a journalist for IGN. All of this is wrong. This has several likes. I never tried to become a YouTuber and failed. I never tried to impress 4chan with the video and got roasted because of anything to do with the boyfriend. This never happened. My career started as a writer. I started as a freelance journalist. I was writing for magazines and websites, and then I later started a YouTube channel because I recognized that if I wanted to be in games media full-time, I would need to get better at being on camera because a lot of the websites seem to have a lot more people on camera, so I wanted to make sure that I was as employable as possible. I went out and I got a skill. That's where my YouTube channel started. I was already a published video game journalist. And then I made videos. Definitely never tried to impress 4chan. Again, nothing to do with a boyfriend telling me how to play and review a game in any of my content ever. Did not go on any hiatus. I worked as a journalist and got a bunch of experience and then eventually got a job at IGN. There was no hiatus. I was available on the internet the whole time, writing. Good lord, this individual. She got fired from IGN for coming to work dressed like she just rolled out of bed, then cried wolf after she got fired that some employee asked her out and was stalking her. So many people were laughing at her in the IGN comments near the end that she looked like a hobo, then she became a low-effort Patreon e-beggar. There are also conspiracies that I've been fired from every single job. It's so funny. Like, they're just so convinced that I couldn't possibly be employed. I did not get fired from IGN. I did not get fired from Funhouse. I did not get fired from Santa Monica Studio. I left all of those jobs. I did, often, dress poorly at IGN. I still, often, dress quite poorly on the internet. I prioritize being comfortable. It's who I am. But no, definitely didn't fire me. In fact, they offered me an extra $30,000 when I quit, and I said no. I also never cried wolf that some employee asked me out and was stalking me. That never happened. That's not a thing I've ever done, not a thing that ever happened to me. Completely made up. I would not be surprised if people have laughed at me on the internet for looking like a hobo. Again, I know that I'm scruffy. People make fun of me for having short nails all the time. People make fun of me for sometimes my face is really shiny and it's because I'm just wearing sunscreen. But then in the same breath, they'll also say that like I'm using my looks for attention and I have my tits out for views all the time, despite the fact that I never have my fucking tits out on YouTube at all ever. Or that I wear a face full of makeup. Like, which is it? I agree with this guy. I do look like a hobo sometimes. Somebody at Sony smashed and gave her a job. And whoever that was probably told her to stop shilling. And she hit him with the, I'm gonna tell Sony about us. This is the only way she can still be employed by Sony but shilling for Microsoft. Blackmail. That's what thoughts do. Now they think there's like some Xbox Sony blackmail conspiracy? Oh my god. But no, did I have sex with somebody at Sony for a job? And then they told me to stop shilling. And I said, I will not stop shilling. I will tell Sony about our sex. Didn't happen. Alanah Pearce sneakily deleted one of her videos where she gaslight people into thinking that there is no agenda in making females ugly, in fear that she might get fired, or Santa Monica Studios might get backlash/boycotted. What a sneaky little bee. No. I took down hundreds of videos from this channel. If you look at my Social Blade, which is where you can like see people's YouTube stats, you would be able to see that I was bulk taking videos down in like increments. The reason I did this is that I rebranded my channel. I used to have like hundreds of videos on this channel. I now don't even know if I have 100. I split my one channel into 4 channels. I understand it's excessive, but I felt like the main feed was so cluttered that I basically made a podcast channel, a stream channel, a vlog channel, and this became a video essay channel. And so I took down every single video, again, hundreds of these, not just one video, because I was worried about being fired. I took down every video that didn't fit a particular criteria. Oh, I love this one. This one's probably my favorite. Okay, you ready? She's a Nepo baby who got her job from daddy's connections in the gaming industry. She's never had a real job, nor has she ever known what real work is. I feel bad for her. Okay, I feel like I have to break it down. She's a Nepo baby who got a job from her daddy's connections in the gaming industry. My dad works in building maintenance, is the easiest way to describe his job. He is the building manager of an office building. So he, like, when power goes out, he's the guy who, like, goes to the generator. My dad has never worked in the games industry in any capacity. He works in buildings. My stepdad was a radiologist. He was a kind of doctor who looked at x-rays, and then he tried to retire, I think when he hit like 60, and unfortunately my mum was not able to sustain that. So the last job that he had before he had to medically retire was as a traffic controller. Like he literally was the guy waving the wands, controlling traffic. My mum is an accountant. She works for a shipping company. My dad, bless his heart, really does try to understand what I do for a living. He has no fucking idea. So the second one is she never had a real job, nor does she ever know what real work is. I mean, I worked at McDonald's. That was my first job. I worked in a series of retail stores. I worked at a car yard. I was like buffing, cleaning cars for auctions. So we would take in like scrap cars. We would, you know, literally, I would show up to that job at 4:30 a.m. I would vacuum the inside of a dirty fucking car and I would buff it out and I would wash it and then I would drive it through the auction. I worked at a call center as IT tech support. Fuck, that job sucked. I feel bad for her kid because she treats that kid as a burden. I don't have kids. I could go on about how she's pansexual and fucks animals. Excuse me? That's animal abuse, by the way? But she doesn't consider how anyone or anything feels as long as she feels good? Where did that one come from? I have to stop questioning it. There's no sense to any of it. The conspiracy theories about me are so dumb, dude. In no small part because I just have a really boring career. It's really fucking standard. It's so unbelievably boring. I wanted to be a writer my whole life. I got really good grades in English in school. My parents and all of my teachers encouraged my dream of wanting to become a writer. I went to university to study writing for 4 years while also doing a bunch of volunteer and freelance writing on the side. I got a job as a writer. Then I got a job as a producer at another company where I was also writing multiple shows and doing game jams and still doing freelance writing. And then I got a job as a junior writer at a AAA game studio. And I was promoted a year into that job. It's such a boring, normal way to get the job I had, man. You study writing, you like writing, and you keep doing it, and then you get a job doing it. So the reason I'm making this video right now, again, is that it sort of blew up again, and people I know are getting shit for being associated with me, and they don't deserve any of that. A content creator who made a hate video about me, or at least I assume it is, I have not seen the video. I could not even tell you what this dude sounds like. Got taken down. YouTube took the video down. So people are yelling at me and blaming me of copyright striking him or of like, I don't know, doing something with YouTube to get his video taken down. It had absolutely nothing to do with any of this. I'm just over here, minding my business, being screamed at again for something I had nothing to do with. But also because of the content in the video, I'm now being kind of like re-harassed about the stuff that was in this hate video. So let's address some of that. The first part is an accusation that I lied about being a writer on Sony Santa Monica Studios' God of War Ragnarök, even though my name is not listed as a writer in the credits of that game. For anyone who doesn't know, yes, I worked at Sony Santa Monica Studio from 2020 to recently. I quit a few months ago. Won't get into the details, it's for personal reasons. I wanted to be able to spend more time with my family. It was a wonderful place to work. I would go back in a heartbeat. Yeah, I was hired as a writer at Sony, and that was what I did while I was there. I was a writer. There are certain things I can't say due to my very specific contract, but here is what I will say. I never claimed anywhere to be a writer on God of War Ragnarök. I claimed to be a writer at Santa Monica Studio, but they are accusing me of specifically lying about being a writer on God of War Ragnarök. Again, a thing I never said. In fact, I have some clips, and there are a lot of these, by the way. I've just pulled a few. It will get boring if I played you all of them. I'm so proud of everybody who worked on that, and the pride that I feel and the excitement is not on behalf of myself. I want to say that, like, I didn't do shit. But I know so many people who, like, the amount of time it takes to make a wolf sled and how hard that is, and oh man. The excitement and the pride is for the people that I'm now friends with, who I understand how hard they worked to do this, being a part of the team. And, you know, obviously I work there, but it's more, like I said, proud of everybody else, and proud to work with such fantastic people who put something like that together. It's just, you're in for a ride. And I say that as someone who still largely feels like a bystander. I did very little work on this game. Yeah, the reception has been absolutely wonderful and so nice to watch, you know, more on behalf of the people I work with than on behalf of me, again, who I didn't do shit. So I always feel like I have to give the context. I didn't work on this game a ton. And my pride comes a lot more from, like, I'm a part of the studio. I saw this journey happen and I was in all the meetings and I watched this for the last 2 and a bit years, or no, almost 3 years. No, it is 2 years.
And they must have been well underway with it when you joined, I would imagine.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Basically, I routinely said I didn't do much on that game. I said I didn't do shit. And that I was really proud of the team, and that it was cool to watch all these people make this thing as a bystander, and that I was excited about it basically as a fan because it's something I didn't work on very much. That's what I've said over and over and over and over again. From before the game came out, months before the game came out, up until now. It's the only thing I've ever said. I understand that if you don't really watch my content, you haven't seen those clips, and obviously content creators who are trying to lie about telling you that I said I wrote on this game and not showing you these clips because it doesn't suit their story. But yeah, if you don't follow my content, I get why you would not have seen that. That's not your fault. But yes, said it frequently, and that's all I ever said. I do say that I was a writer at the studio, and that I worked on accessibility on God of War Ragnarök specifically, which I did. Now, the reason that people buy into this lie so eagerly, despite the fact that I've never claimed to be a writer on God of War Ragnarök, again, this is the internet. If I had ever said that, there would be receipts. There are none. Nobody has found one because none of them exist. Is because of some manipulatively edited screenshots. Anthony Birch, who was a writer on God of War Ragnarök, tweeted this on November 2022. When this tweet went out, I never would have thought it was about me. Why would I? Again, I never claimed to be a writer on that game and had only said before this tweet went out multiple times that I didn't do shit on this game. I actually still don't know if this is about me. I have no idea. I never worked with Anthony Birch. I joined the studio in 2020. The game came out in 2022. Anthony was already gone when I got there. He's basically a person I never met, never worked with, a total stranger to me. And I have avoided trying to shit on Anthony as well because I don't know what he meant. I don't want anyone to go get mad at him for, like, starting this shit fight when it may not have even been about me at all. That's not his fault. So obviously, again, people taking a tweet and thus blaming me for something is one thing, but here's where the actual manipulative editing comes in. Later in November, so like 20 days after Anthony's tweet, I won an award for Game Developer of the Year. It was a very advocacy-based award. It was basically about, like, a game developer who tried to do positive work around game development. As a response to this, some guy who has since deleted his tweets on the subject responded and said writers aren't game devs, so I wasn't a game dev, so I did not deserve the award.
Hello everyone, future Alanah here, recording this on an iPhone because I realized I could be a little bit clearer. So what this guy was trying to say was that the only people in game development on a writing team who have any impact on the story or the plot events or like creating characters are people who are called scenario writers. We do not have anyone called a scenario writer at Santa Monica Studio. And he argued with multiple people about this, saying that because I'm not a scenario writer, then I'm not really a game dev and thus didn't deserve to even be nominated for this game dev award. And he was telling people that all I did every day was write item descriptions or dialogue that the scenario writer, who doesn't exist, must have told me to write. So at this point, all I did was jump in and basically say, hey, this is not correct. The things you are saying that I don't do or that the writers in general don't do, which is, work on plot or in writers' rooms, work on characters, work on story, work on levels, are all things that were part of my day job.
Basically, even this dude was not accusing me of lying about being a writer on Ragnarok. He was incorrectly stating that anyone who isn't a lead writer or a scenario writer, as he called it, on a game does not work on plot or character. The conversation had nothing to do with Ragnarok specifically, and Ragnarok had not been mentioned the entire time. Yes, I worked heavily on plot and character as a writer at Sony Santa Monica Studio. I never, anywhere, even in this conversation, claimed it was on that game specifically. At the point where he posted the credits to say, interesting that you aren't listed as a lead writer since only the lead writers do that kind of work, I did not reply and say, well, that's what I did on that game. I replied, in present tense, after the game already came out, and said, and yet, it's what I do every day. This was several weeks after that game that I said I didn't do much work on came out. The tone of me saying, and yet it's what I do every day, is very specific. I can't elaborate on that due to my contract, but if you're smart, you can easily fill in the blanks about what I meant.
It's so weird. Games industry secrecy contracts can just be very unusual. And I will say I recognize that my terms are especially strict because I came into the studio with an unusually large following and I chose to stay as a contractor. The people trying to convince you that I was caught up in some lie for something I never actually said then edit that conversation on top of the tweet from Anthony. The intent there is to make it look like Anthony's tweet is a response to that conversation. They screenshot it so it looks like I was talking about Ragnarok the whole time, and then they put Anthony's tweet on the bottom so that it looks like he was responding to that conversation. Anthony's tweet came 2 weeks before. The two things are entirely unrelated. Again, they basically just read that somebody maybe did something and went, it was her! And so now I have to back myself into a corner to be like, I didn't fucking say that. I'm being blamed for something based on a vague tweet that says something without mentioning my name and addresses something I never did. Basically, yeah, this is how I got accused of lying about writing on a game that I never claimed to write on while I was actively employed at a studio. Did you think that I would lie about writing on something while I still worked there? Why would... All of my colleagues could see what I'm saying. September 2022 was the first time I was ever even allowed to talk about Ragnarok, and again, the immediate things I said, the first comment that I had was that trailer reaction where I said I didn't do anything. I was very clear from the start. I don't blame you if you missed that. I don't think it's unreasonable for somebody to make an assumption. Now, worth noting, I am in the credits. I've also had people say that I am lying about being in the credits of this game, which is a really weird thing to do when, again, you could just look it up. But I am credited for the accessibility work that I did on God of War Ragnarok, which I'm very proud of. It was an incredible team. We won the accessibility award at the Game Awards. That's a thing I worked on. That's really fucking cool. Now, in case the receipts I've already provided somehow aren't enough for you here, here's the studio coming out to support me. I did not ask the studio to tweet this. They contacted me and asked if they could make a statement because they're really fucking nice people and they understand that I'm not allowed to say very much because of my contract. Here's one of the studio's principal tech animators supporting. Here's one of the studio's directors backing up that I was doing 2 jobs at once, being writing and accessibility. Here is Bruno, another director retweeting it. I feel very bad about what happened to Bruno. I caught wind of the fact that people said that Bruno was a social media intern because I thanked him. Basically what happened here is I'm following Bruno. I worked with Bruno. I love Bruno. He's a great guy. He retweeted Santa Monica Studios' post in effort to support me. Because it comes up on my feed because I was following him, I replied and said, thanks, Bruno. But if you were just an outside onlooker, you maybe wouldn't see that my thanks, Bruno, was specifically in response to his retweet. Thus, people decided that the game director of God of War Valhalla was actually a social media intern simp. In conclusion to point 1, no, I did not lie about being a writer on God of War Ragnarok. I never even claimed to be a writer on God of War Ragnarok. Anywhere. I never implied it, I never said it, I only ever said I didn't do shit. The reality of this one is just that people got mad that I got a desirable job and they wanted to explain it away. That's all it is. They've spent years and years and years desperately trying to discredit it, even though I maintain that the reality of how I got my job is extremely boring and standard and normal. And if it isn't some random tweet that doesn't even mention my name or pertain to anything I have actually done, then it's that I slept with someone, or that I have big boobs, or that it was a PR stunt. I studied writing at university. That alone makes you eligible for a junior writer job, which is what I got hired as. Frankly, I was overqualified to be a junior. That's why they promoted me so fast. I do think it'll be really interesting to see when a certain game comes out and the story is going to have to change from she's a liar to, well, she wrote all the parts I hate. She wrote all the bad parts. Or it'll be, I bet she didn't even really do anything. So the second thing that people have brought up about me for several years, and this has been happening for much longer than the Ragnarok thing, which has just been on loop for like the last 3 years, I guess, I've actually addressed a bunch of times. This happened 6 or 7 years ago, and I have not hidden it in any capacity. I've spoken about it many times. But yeah, I'm just going to give you the edit that my streams editor put together because it's more efficient. And I try not to downplay that because I did do something wrong, but what I did is not what they say I did. Basically, I used to just redraw stuff all the time. Like I was just redrawing. I would take official art and I would redraw it. You know, this is a redraw. The person signed it themselves. They did not credit the original artist. Really common thing to do. Really, really, really common. I was doing it all the time. I had videos at the time of me doing it. It's not even uncommon for people to not address that something is a redraw. Because like if you're doing it off a screenshot, well, people know, you know what I mean? So very common thing to do. What I did wrong was unknowingly redraw someone else's fan art. I assumed it was official. I have the exact screenshot of the website that I took it from, which I don't know why it was called this. I basically just Googled Sekiro. This is the exact thing that I redrew. I didn't realize it was fan art. It's very good, to be fair, but it also looks like the official art. I assumed it was official. That's all it was. I don't know what language that is, but nothing on the page, you know, there was no signature. It was different language at the bottom there. There are tweets, comments publicly from before anyone got mad at me. It says, oh, it's more than I'm sharing, that it's not an original design, which does make things a lot faster. I just copied an image, which makes proportions easier. The tweet where I said it was copied came 4 hours before the tweet where someone got mad. Like I said, I was doing it all the time. I assumed everyone knew that I was doing it. I was publicly open about it, but I redrew somebody else's art unknowingly. But yeah, as soon as someone was like, hey, wait, took it down and apologized. And people take the takedown as me like trying to hide it because I got caught, which what I actually did was realize I had made a mistake. It wasn't like I did something and got caught and was like, oh no, everyone's gonna find out. Like I realized I had done something wrong, you know? But yeah, publicly apologized at the time, 7 years ago, I think 6 or 7 years ago. And they now present it. Again, I did do something wrong. That's why I don't like dismissing this one. I'm also super open about it. I did do something wrong. I should have looked up. But they present it as though I literally downloaded it and posted it like someone else's art, even though when you look at it side by side, you can see that I have redrawn it. It's so clear it's a redraw. Again, and I was doing it all the time. Like I wasn't trying to get a job as an artist. I wasn't selling it. It was just a thing I did for fun. At the time I was doing it really, really regularly, to the extent that like I assumed everyone in my audience, in fact, everyone in my audience did know I was redrawing. Sharing videos of me redrawing. It's just like when it takes on a voice of its own outside of your community is when things blow up. If I was selling it or claiming it was my original art, that'd be a problem. Totally, yeah, I agree. If I was trying to sell it, though I mean, I did do commissions, but they were all video game screenshots. So like I did like years ago do commissions where I would redraw a video game screenshot, but that feels a little different because I was taking something from 3D to 2D. You know, like I redrew something from BioShock, I redrew a Master Chief one time, but it's still the same kind of principle. And I did sell those because the person sent me the screenshot for me to copy, you know what I mean? The third one is just really boring, I think. My first stream after the Game Awards, I sat down and like spoke about the stuff that happened at the Game Awards and how I felt about everything. And I said that I saw one of the devs from Myth Wukong crying, but I could see all of the nominees and awards winners, and the Myth Wukong team, I don't know which person on the team, was crying when Astrobot got Game of the Year. Because you could see him just looking down the line, which is the first time I've ever seen anything like that. Because generally everyone is like, Game Awards doesn't matter that much. Be sad if they don't win. If you're not talking about the winner, it's natural to be sad. Yeah, I'm not criticizing them for being sad. It was just surprising because I've never seen that before. Like, people are generally like, oh, bummer, they don't care that much. But again, it is a really impressive feat for a Chinese game to end up their first time ever is pretty crazy. I was not the first person to say this. I was not the only person to say this. I was just the only person who got clipped. It actually went viral without me even knowing. On that same stream, I talk about how it was going to be my last stream before I stopped going on social media for a while because my mom was in town. I didn't try to push it as some kind of big narrative. I didn't tweet it. I wasn't the one that clipped myself. Other people did that. It was actually a fairly small stream too. I didn't have even as many concurrents as normal. But yeah, some other people came out and said that they did not see this. It is ultimately a he said, she said. People have decided that I was definitely lying about this because of a couple of seconds of footage that were from an entirely different part of the speech. So in editing this video, because I had to YouTube search to be able to even find that footage, it turns out that from all the search results, everybody is saying that I claimed that the CEO was crying, and they often show pictures of the face of the CEO of Game Science. I don't know which person on the team, but yeah, they say you've been 100% proved to be lying about this, based on a tiny bit of footage from a much longer speech. First, I could be completely wrong. I just said a thing that I saw. I was fairly far away. It really did look like somebody crying to me. It's possible I was wrong. Now, I will say I shouldn't have said what I said. I regret saying it, not because the internet mob is calling me a liar for it. I didn't lie. But because devs should be allowed to do this and I should not have broadcasted. I think it was unprofessional of me. They should be allowed to have these feelings and not have someone talk about it on the internet. I think that I would apologize to the team for doing that at all. I should not have done that. I will note one thing here, like I was comforted when the day after this happened, the team came out and said how disappointed they were that they didn't win Game of the Year, that they felt like they wasted the trip. But still, I do regret saying it. Ultimately, yeah, the studio was unusually sad that they didn't win Game of the Year. Being emotional that something that you worked hard on didn't get credit from your peers is totally reasonable. Regardless, yes, possibly I was wrong. I wasn't lying. And here's the part about this that I really want to highlight. Why the fuck would anyone lie about this? Literally, what would I ever have to gain from saying this if I didn't actually see it? People have tried to justify this by pretending that I ran a hate campaign against Black Myth Wukong, like I tried to get the game cancelled. I was one of the journalists calling it sexist. This isn't true. I want to play this so bad. Cool as hell, man. Damn. God, I'm so excited to just play this game. Actually touch this game. God, it looks so good. There's a chance this ends up being Game of the Year, right? I was extremely supportive of this game. I also defended the studio against accusations of sexism. Okay, so this one is a stupid joke. That's how I feel about it, right? This is just a dumb joke. Several posts have surfaced from Chinese social media site, contain multiple references to genitalia and sexual innuendos, which, if you are part of my community and have been here for a while, I do that shit all the time. Okay, so this is potentially another mistranslation. I personally will still be playing the video game and I'm looking forward to it. Why would I have done either of these things, like praise this game a hell of a lot and defend them, if I was actually secretly on some weird hate campaign against it? And then that all this hate campaign that didn't exist culminated in me saying I saw someone cry? Like, if you were actually trying to start something, again, I had no idea this was going to get clipped and go viral. I had no clue that it even happened. Wouldn't you tell a different lie? Why would you say that? I just can't see any logic in lying about this particular thing or in this particular way. It doesn't make sense. So yes, those are the bigger three that have resulted in people spamming my friends. I certainly make mistakes. Often I think that I can be careless because I feel like I'm a small creator, which I am in the grand scheme of things. And to be clear, that's intentional. I do not make content with a broader audience in mind. I make content with the audience I have in mind. I am so happy with the size of the audience that I have, and I am not trying to reach outside people. And I think because that isn't my intention, I forget that sometimes people who aren't in my community can still see shit. And so I don't add the layers of context or over explaining that maybe I need to sometimes. I'm just not being considerate of the fact that it's the broader internet and not just this little community that I've built over however many years that I've been talking about video games on the internet. To be completely genuine though, outside of like the rage bait grifters, obviously like having to attention seek because it's how they make money and they know that they can use my name to get attention, I have no idea why these people care so much about everything I do and say. I feel like the amount of attention that they give me is so wildly disproportionate to my impact or the content that I make or even the amount of followers that I have. I am just not this interesting. Now, I'm sure there are things in this video that I did not address. There are probably some things that I didn't even know about. There are, like I said, literally too many bullshit internet stories for me to be able to do that. I am just one person. And honestly, I largely just feel like they're so childish. It's like petty schoolyard drama for the most part. Oh my god, did you hear that her boyfriend actually started her YouTube channel and she has all of this plastic surgery? It's all true. But if you want to believe that, then I don't care. I am a grown woman. I am simply too old for this shit. The world outside of this weird, angry internet bubble is vast and fulfilling. I highly recommend you check it out.